Is it Kwesi Adofo-Mensah or Wayne Brady? Because he's like, let's make a deal. The Vikings pull off another trade and bring in a wide receiver. The Twins can't finish off the series strong against the Red Sox. We're talking all about it coming up on Superior Sports Talk.
KARE 11 sports anchor Reggie Wilson covers the Twin City sports scene non-stop. Luke Inman is ready to put him on the hot seat.
That's what you're going to do to me?
Instant analysis.
Yanked. Out you go.
Post-game breakdowns and red-hot takes.
The Timberwolves need a stitch.
Reggie and Luke give you a daily dose of Minnesota sports with superior sports talk. Part of Locked On Sports Minnesota. And it starts now.
Luke Inman out, Sam Ekstrom in, filling in today on Superior Sports Talk, your daily 30-minute breakdown of all things Minnesota sports. That's Reggie Wilson. He anchors the sports on KARE 11, joins us every day, and you can hear me with Ron Johnson Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Reggie told you we got to get to the Jalen Reagor trade as he comes to Minnesota from Philadelphia. Ihmir Smith-Marsette waived? What? And the Minnesota Twins' ninth-inning rally comes up short last night, and we might touch on a mesmerizing Serena Williams tennis match today on Superior Sports Talk. A reminder that you should subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star review, leave a comment if you'd like. We would love for people to not only get this show every day, but the Ron Johnson Show, Minnesota Football Party, and the instant reaction postcasts after every Vikings, Twins, Wild, and Wolves game. Reggie, yesterday the bombshell. Jalen Reagor coming to Minnesota for a 7th-rounder and a future 4th or 5th, depending on what he does for the Vikings. And he's your de facto wide receiver 4 now, Reggie. Ihmir Smith-Marsette waived as the corresponding move. And I don't know what was more surprising, Reggie, the trade itself or that Ihmir Smith-Marsette was the one who got victimized.
You know, I don't know why the Vikings felt the need to do this trade, but it's interesting that they did what they did to get a guy who most likely will be utilized primarily as a punt returner. And then they get, you know, I was seeing a tweet from Luke yesterday, and he was talking about it's a clear upgrade at punt returner, which I get, but you kind of downgrade from a receiver standpoint. But you know, all the reports said that Jalen was having a great camp this summer. He was motivated in a pretty good mental space. So, you know, they were expecting bigger things from him. So maybe he comes in this Vikings offense and does well. The tough part is he's been largely in another offense. And now he comes in right before week 1. And now you're expecting him to, you know, compete. You know, Ihmir Smith-Marsette had a full offseason in this new offense, kind of knows what's going on. But at the same time, it's like Kwesi felt like he had to do something to make something happen. And that was what he decided to do. It's just kind of crazy that if you look at their stats, Jalen had 33 receptions, 299 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Ihmir Smith-Marsette, he played in 8 games. He had 1 start. He had 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. You feel like another year growing in this system, and maybe you see bigger things from him, and they just kind of gave up on him.
Yeah. Are you a big PFF guy, Reggie?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so me too. And the catch-all stat for receivers that I like the most is yards per route run, because there really aren't anomalies there. Almost always, the best receivers rise to the top. So that's Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill. They're always going to be about 3 yards per route run. It's just a great efficiency stat. Jalen Reagor last year, in quite a nice sample size, was 110th out of a possible 110 receivers in yards per route run. So that is to say, and the numbers are, I mean, 0.67 for people that know what like a good yards per route run is, that's a bad YPRR. So he was very inefficient when he was on the field. He was taking up space and not doing a lot with it. And now you expect him to learn this complex offense in like a week and contribute? Probably not. So you're probably saying, okay, you are our D.D. Westbrook. If you remember what the Vikings did last year, they brought in D.D. with much fanfare. Oh, Keenan McCardell used to coach him. He's going to be the wide receiver 3. Barely got a sniff on offense, and he was the punt returner, and he did an okay job. Jalen Reagor as a punt returner, another PFF stat for you, Reggie. Number 2 in punt return grade amongst all the full-time punt returners last year. So that's good. I like that. I thought Ihmir Smith-Marsette was not ready to be the punt returner based on what I saw. So I appreciate that upgrade, but I don't love the downgrade at wide receiver, like you said, because you could have waived Jalen, the other Jalen Naylor. You could have waived Vidarian Lowe or probably a handful of other rookies or lower round picks who probably would not have caught other teams' eye. Slip them through to the practice squad. We'll find out soon, but Reggie, I don't think Ihmir Smith-Marsette, after what he showed in the preseason and last season, I don't think he's sneaking through.
No, that's the tough part about it. I think, not to compare him to KJ Osborne, because I do think that they're two different guys, but I do think that he was going to take a step this season and really show and prove what he could do. And he just doesn't get that chance to do so. I think, they probably would love if he cleared waivers and they would just be able to sign him to the practice squad. But the tough part is a guy like that, I don't see him clearing waivers. I mean, Kellen Mond didn't even clear waivers. The guy ended up getting picked up by Cleveland. And, I think they were hoping that maybe he would, and they would be able to sign him to the practice squad. Now they don't even have a third quarterback at this point. So they got some issues there, but it's weird, man. Like you said, they could have done so many other things. It's just weird that was who they decided that was, going to be the guy that they put on waivers for this other guy who you don't really expect to have a major impact, in this offense. I could see him, maybe some end around plays or, he's, running behind the line of scrimmage and you toss it to him or you give it to him and, have him kind of do his thing or, maybe a couple specialty plays here or there just to utilize the speed. But I mean, when you got JJ, Thielen, and KJ, you don't really need a whole lot of production from them. So, I would much rather have a guy that you could utilize a little bit more in the passing game. But, I didn't know the number 2, ranking in PFF on punt return from him. That is a significant upgrade. It's just funny, man. Like, the whole thing is funny. When you look at 2020 and the former Vikings brass just like celebrating because the Eagles did not take Justin Jefferson. And now you're like, oh, okay, we're just going to bring him on. That's what we're going to do. What I do think is interesting too is, Kwesi is a, Wall Street guy by trade. He's a numbers guy. He's used to wheeling and dealing. And he's kind of turned the Vikings into like his Wall Street project, if you will. It's just like, here's the deal I can do. What deals can I make to maximize, my gain on this team? And it's just weird. I think it's something like 10 trades since the start of the NFL draft. Yeah. And it's just like, goodness great, a league high 6, during the draft. And then he pulls off 4 trades in 10 days this month. And you're just like, goodness gracious, what is going on? Do these things pay off? I guess it remains to be seen. But I think one thing that we've seen from Kwesi is he ain't scared. He ain't scared.
Well, he's talking today to the media, so we should get some answers. Yep. But, Reggie, looking at the totality now of these several deals around roster cutdown days. So they trade Jesse Davis, the veteran. They cut Armand Watts and basically exchange him for Ross Blacklock. So buying low, as a good stock market trader would do, and then getting rid of Ihmir Smith-Marsette and buying low on Jalen Reagor, although some would say that a future 4th might be too high. But do you think that the end result of those 3 transactions, did the Vikings get better or did the Vikings get worse?
I think it's just like flatline. Can we go with that? I don't really think that when you throw out the ranking, the PFF ranking of punt returners, that would seem to say that they got better. Although, you probably don't want to see him muffing that punt against Tampa not too long ago. Uh, that might not inspire confidence in his ability when you kind of watch that tape over again. But at the same time, like, I don't know if you get rid of Armon Watts and you get Blacklock, and I have not seen the guy play, so I really don't know anything about him to know. I've seen Armon Watts play, and maybe they just didn't feel like he was a good fit for this change in system that they're doing. But I feel like he was coming into his own, especially last year. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in Chicago. We talked about the Jalen coming and Ihmir Smith-Marsette leaving, and what that does. You got rid of Jesse Davis, but you drafted Ed Ingram, and he's stepping up into RG1. So it's just like he's doing exactly what you drafted him to do. Right now, there's a big belief in their draft class. And look, you took these guys, so you should be believing in them. So I can appreciate that. But I don't know with these trades, I don't know if they necessarily got better. I still think they had a good draft, but I still go back to, not getting enough in return for dropping down 20 spots in that first round of the NFL draft. And I'm like, I just don't know. I think Lewis Cine is going to be a fine player. I can appreciate that they did some deals in the second round to try to regain some of the, capital that they lost. And, it netted them and Ed Ingram, who now steps in as the starting right guard. And that's exciting. But I just don't really know. I guess time will tell if these trades really work out. But I think Kwesi was just trying to, like, shake things up, do something to add a little bit more value to this team and just maybe, add up a little bit more gain to this squad. And we'll see if it works out.
A near miraculous Twins comeback. We talk about that to come, and also predictions for the Gophers home opener tonight against New Mexico State. But we talked about Kwesi making some risky bets, and you can make some educated bets when you use betonline.net, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find your favorite sports and events, find the lines at your #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. They've got MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL lines, whatever you need. Check them out, the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, whether it's live in-game betting. You can find the scores and see whether your bet is going to hit. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening. BetOnline, where the game starts. Going to talk Twins Red Sox, and before we do, just a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, like and comment on the video. It's really helpful to help other people find the video, and make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Sports Minnesota. All of our podcasts are also videos, so check them out. It's Ron Johnson, it's Reggie Wilson and Superior Sports Talk, and it's the Minnesota Football Party. Twins Red Sox last night, Reggie. Twins trying to make it 6 straight. They almost did, and they almost did it spectacularly. They were down 5-0. They claw back to 6-5. They get the 8 and 9 hitters on base in the 9th with nobody out. Arise and Correa coming up. It felt like a potential landmark moment for the Twins. If one of their 2 big knockers, Arise or Correa, could deliver the walk-off jolt instead. Fly out, double play, game over. So the winning streak ends at 5, Reggie, and the deficit in the division remains at 1.5. The Orioles do the Twins a favor and beat the Guardians. So where are you at now with the Twins, Reggie? Are you back on the bandwagon despite the loss last night with a 5-1 homestand?
You know what? I'm ever the optimist. So, Sam, count me in, back on the bandwagon, okay? It's interesting. They did this 5-game winning streak without Byron Buxton, and he's kind of like their emotional heart and soul of that team. And I think the Twins, it's almost like they felt disrespected or something like that. They went MJ. They took it personally. that they were losing all those games back to back. Like people were talking about them, people may or may not have been me saying that they could be cooked, you know, and all of a sudden it's just like, well, you know what? Talks of our demise greatly overstated. And they come out with this 5-game winning streak. And honestly, put themselves in great position to win last night. And it's interesting because I think what we're seeing from this Twins team is a group that is resilient. And we've seen that before, but this last stretch, especially after the sweep to the Astros, you're just like, dang, man, they're about to go out sad. They got the Red Sox coming up. The Red Sox still have a little bit to play for. Like, dang, this is messed up. This is how they're going to go out. Dang, man. And really, I think Twins fans are just very, very cautious right now. They want to believe, but, they got a lot of PTSD. And I understand because, the fan base has been through a lot. The Minnesota sports fan base has been through a lot. I think because of what has happened, the fans here are just trained to be pessimists. And here I come with my optimism like, hey, man, they can do it. They're like, Reggie, shut up. You don't know. You just don't know. You don't know about this here. Okay? And I understand it because it's just like when you've seen what you've seen for years and years and years, you're like, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. But they've put themselves in great position. I think one thing, we don't talk about moral victories. Everybody hates that. But one thing that you see is a couple plays, different last night. And you're talking about a 6-game winning streak. If Flash hadn't been admiring that double and just really actually flashed around the bases, maybe he gets into third safely. And the inning in the 8th is extended and they're able to tie the game. Arise, he gets out in the 9th and Correa, I hate it for Correa because that had the chance to be like a signature moment for him. And he grounds into the double. It was brutal, man. It was just like, man, all this excitement, only one out. You got multiple runners on. You're like, look, you just need to put the ball in play, over the infielder's head, base hit, and you're talking about maybe the game being over. And you couldn't do it. A double play, that's like so brutal, man. But I think what you can draw from that is that this team has a lot of fight left, and they're not about to go out without putting up a fight. And if you're a Twins fan, I think you can draw some confidence from that. That being said, it's like, dang, they got this day off today. I made a joke last night on KARE 11 when I was doing sports. They may just want to get a group of guys together and just play a game anyway, just to kind of keep some momentum going because they're just on a roll right now.
Yeah, Chicago next after the off day, and then the Yankees, who are mired in a crazy slump right now, despite Aaron Judge homering like every day. Twins have shown some clutchness, though. You're right. Like, even back to that Astros series, and maybe there is a little more momentum at play here than we thought because they were trying to come back in every single one of those Astros games in the 9th inning and coming up short every day. But it seemed to carry over a little bit into that San Francisco series when they had the big rally in the 9th, and they got that winning streak going because they were able to rally. And then last night, again, very valiant in the 8th inning, or really the 7th inning, they put some guys on, got a run. 8th inning, they put guys on, got 2 runs on the Gordon double. And the 9th inning, they just came up a little bit short. But the clutch hitting that's been lacking is starting to come around. So now they just need a couple guys to get hot at the same time, Reggie, because it feels like they've kind of taken turns. Arise had his amazing stretch, then he kind of gave it to Miranda for a while, and now Nick Gordon is the one who you want up at the plate. The Twins need a few guys to get hot in September. So the final month of the season, Reggie, they've got to make up a game and a half. They got some tough series coming up. Who's the one guy that you want to see just get on a tear?
Dude, look, I hate, and I say hate, very strongly here, but I hate talking about a guy's money. Like, I don't like people up in my pockets. Like, don't be counting my money. So I'm not trying to count his either, but you signed Correa to 35+ mil. to come here and be a game changer. You've won a World Series, banging trash cans and all that good stuff. You won a World Series. You're a champion. You bring that championship pedigree over to the Twins because the Twins are trying to do something that they haven't done in several, and I say several very loosely, several years. They're just trying to get out of that first round. Let alone win the whole thing. They want to get out of the first round of the playoffs. And Correa is the guy that they bring in to help, kind of be that catalyst for them to do that. And they are paying him handsomely to be the guy that he was in Houston. They need him to step it up and be the guy with the clutch hits. Like last night could have been the start of a great stretch for him. He's winning the game in the ninth inning, and then, he comes out in the next several series and he, goes on a tear. Like you want him to be that guy, and I think he is capable of doing that, and fans want to see it from him.
All right, I'm going to get Reggie's take on the Jerry Kill PJ Fleck handshake tonight. Just a quick reminder that the Minnesota football party is coming up later today. It's a roundtable with myself, Luke Braun, Luke Inman, and Arif Hassan of The Athletic. It records on Mondays and Thursdays. It's an hour of Vikings talk twice a week, and you can get it on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Subscribe, review, rate, all that good stuff. All right, Reggie, Gophers, New Mexico State Aggies tonight. The fearsome Aggies led by Jerry Kill. Not exactly regarded as a powerful program. I think the Gophers are 36.5-point favorites tonight. Give me a prediction, Reggie. I mean, hold on. I should probably brand this as the "What Does It Mean" segment. What does it mean for the Gophers tonight to be taking on New Mexico State? And what do you expect to see? Whether it's the pregame handshake, postgame handshake with the coaches who are at odds, or something that happens on the field?
This is a statement game. And it's a statement game and a statement season. Year 6 with PJ, like this is kind of crazy that he's been here that long. But it's time for them to go, man. You look at their schedule this season, and you expect big things from them. You expect to see them compete for a Big Ten championship this year. Like that's the expectations for this team. And what you expect is them to go out and beat down the teams that they're supposed to beat down and handle their business. And that's exactly what you expect tonight. You got your offensive coordinator back. Him and Tanner Morgan are back, united at the hip again. Tanner's the established veteran, 6-year guy. Like, it's time to go. Like, it's go time, man. Like, I expect them. What did you say the line was?
36.5, I think, was last
Good
check
Lord.
at betonline.net.
40. They need to go 40 at least. Like, put it on them, put it away fast. Like, have the fans like just eating popcorn and on TikTok by halftime. Like, put it away. And keep it going because it's time to go. You look at their schedule, they don't have like the Ohio State, some of these upper echelon teams that you are expecting to be there, when it's all said and done in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, look, if you got Ohio State playing Michigan at the end of the year, that could bode well for your chances because they're beating on each other, and that could help propel you toward the Big Ten championship game, which you're excited about that possibility, but you also are expecting that. You look at the schedule: Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State. Like those are going to be tough games, but you do expect them to be competitive and really challenge to beat those teams because this is the year that they do it, that they try to put all that stuff together. So much has been said about whether or not the guys are going to, shake hands tonight or not. I think that they're going to get it out of the way, do it pregame. It's not going to be anything warm and fuzzy. They just may walk over, hey, man, good luck tonight. God bless. Handshake, walk away. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. That whole thing, Randy Shaver did a whole story about that last week on KARE 11.
Yeah.
Check that out if you can. that whole thing is just weird to me. Like, I feel like PJ is kind of like collateral damage for like the ills of Jerry Kill and like, you know, what happened with him. But then it, it's like Fleck kind of leaned into the beef a little bit, even though he's not saying anything publicly. There are things that are being said behind the scenes as well. And so it's just like, what's going on here? And it kind of sounds like one of those things is like, oh, you don't like me? Well, shoot, forget you too then. Like, I don't like you too then. Get out of here. New Mexico State, stay over there then. It's fine. And it's just kind of a weird situation. I'm not really sure what that's about or why there's so much animosity, but they'll get that out of the way, and then I thoroughly expect a beatdown tonight. Not even close.
I would hope that, Reggie, based on the caliber of that New Mexico State program, but of late, Fleck teams have messed around in these non-conference games way too much. Last 3 years, and one of these years there were no non-conference games because of COVID, but they have 5 of 6 non-conference games where they've either won by a single possession or lost. Miami, Ohio, Bowling Green last year they lost, South Dakota State,
brutal.
Georgia Southern, Fresno State. They were in a dogfight in all those games, and they should not have been. And that's because I think PJ comes in with kind of conservative game plans, especially early in the season. He doesn't like to really put the pedal down like Glenn Mason back in the day, Ron Johnson's old coach. They would just obliterate teams. They would put up 60 burgers on the regular. I would like to see some more of that tonight at Huntington Bank Stadium. Check KARE 11 out for the report on that tonight, the 10 o'clock news. What does it mean, Reggie? Dan Graziano of ESPN made a surprise prediction for every NFL team, and his prediction was that C.J. Ham will have a bigger role in the offense than we expect. What does that mean for the Vikings offense if indeed Ham is more involved?
Sam, I'm going to be real with you right now. These what does it mean segments, usually I can give you some great context. I have no idea what that means. We've seen C.J. Ham be productive, in seasons past, catching passes out of the backfield. You can hand it off to him and he can, fall forward and get some good yardage. But like, what does that even – I mean, he's a fullback. Like the fullback is one of those like positions that are kind of dying in the NFL. I don't know if maybe – so – O.J. Howard got placed on waivers, and we didn't see the Vikings do anything, to maybe try to add a tight end. Their depth is not really all that strong. You're looking at, Irv Smith is coming off the thumb injury. We're not really sure what to expect from him just yet. And overall coming off a knee injury last year as well. So you're just like, man, like, is this guy going to stay healthy? He's tight end 1. You don't really see, the Rams had Tyler Higbee in that offense, and he was kind of like the guy. They had Gerald Everett as well, up until he went over to Seattle. And, they utilized them sparingly, I guess. When you have a guy as good as Higbee, you have to get him involved. And so I do think Irv Smith Jr. is a really good tight end when he's healthy, but the health is the factor here. And if he's not, then you're looking at guys like Johnny Munt. They had 2 tight ends that, young tight ends in Davidson and Muse. And they waived both of those guys, and they ended up, putting Muse on the practice squad. And it's just like, okay, all right. So I don't know if maybe Ham is a guy that they plan on maybe utilizing more as a pass catcher to kind of, maybe like an H-back, like kind of like a makeshift tight end or something like that. Like, I have no idea. There's been talk of Dalvin Cook being utilized more in the passing game this season, which is exciting. So maybe Kevin O'Connell has a plan for C.J. Ham because, just the fullback, lining them up in that fullback spot and having him be the lead blocker for a running back. Like, it's kind of a lost art in the NFL at this point. You don't really see a whole lot of fullback, play, at a robust level game in and game out. So maybe KOC has a greater plan for Ham in that H-back role.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Reggie. CJ Ham has been in a fullback-friendly offense for years. He's played over 1,000 snaps in the last 3 years, had 42 catches over the last 3 years combined, and 19 carries. So 61 touches. For a fullback in today's NFL, that's amazing. So I'm not sure how they could deploy him really any more actively than they already have been. Like, I think it's hard for me to imagine him playing more than he did in the Zimmer offense, where he was actually getting a third of the snaps. I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, so that would be a stunner. Like, if they come out against Green Bay and he's literally on the field 35 snaps that game, that would be shocking, and I don't anticipate that. So I think he's going to be involved in some way, but let's keep in mind, this is the same guy that the Vikings targeted on a key, was it third or fourth down in Baltimore, on a deep pass. They threw to him on a fourth down in Green Bay in Week 17. Like, they've given him high leverage touches in the past. So it's hard for me to imagine him being any more involved than he's been in the past, unless they legit are going to turn him into Kyle Juszczyk. But you don't do that when you have Jefferson and Cook and Thielen. That just doesn't make sense. So I think it's still going to be a step back from last year.
What type of intel does Dan Graziano have? Like, who has he been talking to that makes him have such a bold prediction? Like, where does that even come from? Was it just everything else was just too easy to say, and he was just like, I got something for you? CJ Ham.
Everyone loves to say CJ Ham because his name is Ham. I think people are like, oh, it's a Rams offense. They're not going to use a fullback. And I think now that people are realizing they might actually use the fullback a little bit, that's a surprise to some people. And I think that they will. It's just not going to be like Mike Zimmer did. Last one, Reggie. Go ahead.
What's
Sorry,
interesting,
go ahead.
real quick, Sam, I think what's interesting is we're going to find out, like, KOC is going to have his own offense. Yeah, it's probably going to have a lot of Rams concepts, but when I saw Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, I covered him, for 2 seasons in Cincinnati. When I saw him there, he was a guy that used a lot of Rams concepts, but he had his own style, his own offense, his own flavor. And I think, KOC started, like with the Patriots. He has that influence. So, that Josh McDaniels style offense. He was in Washington with McVay, kind of, that type of offense. And now, you go to the Rams, and, McVay's offense has kind of, evolved as well. And so I think he's going to have different influences from the different stops that he's had. It's going to be O'Connell's offense. Yeah, it's probably going to be heavy Rams and heavy, McVay style, but I think he's going to have his own thing, and we're going to see how that plays out.
Yeah, kind of a cocktail of all the places that he's been before. Yeah, it's kind of the Kevin Stefanski thing with all those influences he had too. Last one, Serena Williams, man. I mean, I was mesmerized last night as Serena Williams took down the number 2 seed at the U.S. Open in 3 sets, including a tiebreaker in the first set. I don't watch a lot of tennis, but when I do, I am endlessly entertained, especially when it's played at the highest level like that. Just living and dying with every shot, honestly. It's the Tiger Woods effect, where under no other circumstances are you that dialed into a second-round match at a U.S. Open, but with Serena there, the crowd just juiced. It was unbelievable. What does it mean for Serena Williams' shot at winning the U.S. Open, Reggie, now that she's taken down the number 2 seed?
She's got a shot, man. You know what we've seen, though, over the last couple years in these Grand Slams is Serena plays really well in those first 3+ rounds. And it's like once she gets to that championship match, she kind of runs out of steam. And I was talking to our show producer before we started today, and he brought up how she's going to be playing in a doubles match as well. Just putting it all out there. She's like, look, if this is going to be it, I'm playing with sis one more time. We're going to, recapture some of our old magic. And I'm also going to do this singles competition as well. I just caution her not to expend too much of herself. Look, she's an athlete, but she's also 40, and so Father Time is undefeated despite what LeBron James is doing. Father Time is undefeated, and you just hope that she has enough gas to get her to the finish line. But she's very much so extending a lot of herself. You know, that match yesterday was hard fought, man. Like, that took a lot out of her, I'm sure. You know, battling with the number 2, like that girl was no slouch. But I, I want to see her go out on top so bad. You have to understand, growing up, I would wake up on Saturday mornings and my mom and I would watch her, compete.
That's
Wimbledon,
cool.
Australian Open, all these different tennis grand slams that she's played in. And like, she's like, Serena was like religion in our household. And so I've literally been pulling for Serena since I was, young. And to just kind of see her at this point in her career, it's nostalgic, one, but it's like that fire burning. Like when she wins, you feel like you're winning too, because that's how invested you are in her. And I just want to see her do it. I just hope she doesn't run out of steam. But I believe that she's still an elite level player, especially in this tournament. And I just want to see her go out there and win it, because that's what we all want to see. We all like to see the greats going out. When John Elway went out with his Super Bowl, Peyton Manning went out with his Super Bowl. That's cool, man. You're like, we love that. Tom Brady trying to go out with another Super Bowl win. He wasn't good enough, just saying the heck with the career after how last season ended. He's like, I think I want to come back and try to win another. Let me just cement that GOAT status. And look, Tom Brady, Serena, they're the GOATs. Like, they don't have to do anything else to cement their GOAT legacy. But wouldn't that just be sweet for her to go out? She got all the diamonds in her hair. She's sparkling all over the court, and just go out one last time with a trophy. That would just be a fantastic end to her stellar career.
Looks like the next match is Friday against a Croatian, Tomljanovic. Not sure of the first name. That's what ESPN tells me. And I assume that's a better matchup for her, since the number 2 seed got knocked off, probably a lower seed now in this third round. So definitely a good chance for Serena. I love your passion about tennis, Reggie. That's awesome. I love following your tweets as the match is going on. You keep me invested. That's all for today. The round table is tomorrow with Ron Johnson, Luke Inman, Reggie Wilson, and myself, Sam Ekstrom. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota, 5-star review, rate it, and find all your favorite shows. Ron Johnson, Reggie Wilson here on Superior Sports Talk and the Minnesota Football Party. I'm Sam Ekstrom, filling in for Luke Inman today. He'll be back on the round table tomorrow. Until then, signing off.
Be blessed. Spread love today.